Hello, and welcome to Transforming Language Education, the vodcast series where we will talk about the future of teaching, inquiry, and advocacy in language education. I'm Jen Crawford.
And I'm Rob Philback. Please like or subscribe if you want to join us in helping to transform language education.
Hello, and welcome to Transforming Language Education. Today on the show, we're excited to have Estella Chen. Estella is a graduate of our USC TESOL program who brings over 20 years as a language educator. She taught English at university level in Taiwan for 8 years before shifting her focus to teaching Mandarin through her startup Mandarin X. This is part 3 of our 3-part series, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Estella's approach to creating content for online learning and her podcast.
Welcome, Estella. So let me kick it off. You've as we talked about your work in the last episode about Mandarin X, you have a lot of experience creating digital content. And now we understand you've launched a new podcast, 1,000 Miles. And we'd love to just really engage you in this episode about sort of what you do to create content, the steps you go through, your principles and things like that, because this is something that more and more teachers around the world are really being sometimes expected to do, and many just want to do. So maybe just, think about the differences between the first things you did in terms of this area and where you've come. Like, how has that changed? What have you learned? Maybe give us some examples.
Okay. Wow, that's also a big question.
That's a big question. Sorry. How do you want to kick it off? You start.
But I could totally. Just get back a little bit to how we created the first MOOC, because that's really big. Well, if you want to create something that's more structured, you really need a curriculum that you need to think through that what are the things that you're going to cover for a 6-hour courses, or even definitely depends on the length, right, of the course. But if you want to create something easy, simple, like I said, it's just, small, sweet. But so think it through how you are going to structure, because structure is so very important. And then the second thing that I want to mention is that people always think that if you look at the camera or you have a camera in front of you and that's teaching online. No, it's not. it's definitely not just like have a camera. Well, in my dissertation, I actually did a survey on why Mandarin courses are very popular. And then 92% of our students, 92, that's a high percentage of our students amongst, for now, it's more than 55,000. No, more than 500,000. What was the number? 500,000.
Wow.
So that's 500,000 students, right? So, 92% of the students love our courses because they love the way the teacher conduct the lesson through the videos. So what I'm trying to say is that the teacher's presence is something that you really, really need to consider. When I was talking about the teaching presence, it's nothing to do about your appearance. Say that you need to be a Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt. No, it's about who you are, your energy, right? And your passion. So, and then something that you really need to think about is like for languages, people care about the gestures. What was that again? Like pragmatics, right? Like you wanted to imply or some of the meanings of the words or even the sentences. You need to be aware of your gestures. So I used to coach my teachers that if they want to have their students to practice, it's a gesture, right? So like okay, so now escucha, Spanish, I think it's escucha, right? And then so you got to have some gestures, and even it's just the asynchronous courses, we value that a lot. The teacher's presence. So think about, how you're going to position yourself. Say, I've been preparing for this interview. I got my microphone, right? and I know the position where I'm going to set up my laptop, and then how I'm going to position myself, and then how I'm going to, even just, work on my hair. So that's something. And also articulate words clearly is something that when you teach the language, you'll never assume that students can understand the linking sound. So if you want to, I think that's an important point that a lot of teachers would miss, especially for native speakers. And then they're not, they haven't been going through the training program, and then they thought, I just speak the way. So when I'm actually teaching, I really, really need to slow down, or even just say the words clearly for students too. Well, a lot of things. It really depends on, how big, like how big you want to go, go big or go home. So, right. So if you want to, work on courses like those one we did on edX, that's studio level. That's a lot of, things, and then definitely cost more. But if you want to make something easy, or even like during the pandemic, edX trying to encourage professors to just videotape, something like this with slides. But everything is about the content, and how, the teacher is going to definitely stay calm, stay professional, and say words, easy for students to understand. And that can be a great course and great video as well. So really depends on your budget and how you want to take it from there, or even for the future use.
That is so helpful. And I want to key into one of the things, Estella, that you were saying of what do you think is the most important for teachers to do to get started? Do you think there's some basic tools or software, or even just basic approaches to curriculum? What would be like the first 3 steps that would be important if a teacher feels like they have important content to share? What should they do to get started?
Very good. You definitely need to get yourself familiar with technology. If you're like, panicked, or you're tied with, like your camera, there's no way that you would be able to work on anything digital. So you really need to, even for us doing the podcast, I just use my cell phone, my iPhone. That works really well. So it's, what was that? We would it's voice memos. I recorded that for now 23 episodes. So you really need to, and then some of the softwares that everything that I use is just built in from my Mac Air. It's so very easy, and I just explore a little bit. I would suggest that just find anything that you feel comfortable using. A lot of people are having issues with Zoom. I don't know why. And then they just go with Google, right? Google Hangout or Google whatever, or Teams. Just pick something that you feel like, okay, I can do with this. I'm settled with this. And then grab, say this microphone is actually very expensive, but I wanted myself to be sound, okay, good. But you can also pick something that just like even just $80, and then just get yourself started. And even I just use my cell phone, right? And then people even ask, did you go into the studio? The sound sounds amazing for your podcast. I'm like, really? I'm just, work at home. But some of the editing programs that can help you, like, to help with some echoes or studio setting, and then, just help you a lot. So for videos, and another thing that I want to point out is you gotta be very comfortable in front of the camera, because I've been seeing so many teachers that they don't, it's not themselves. If it's not you, and then what's the point, right? And if you just read the script, and then you can't really demonstrate what you want to show or teach, well, you don't really need to be a clown. It just be you, be like really be you. So maybe try to practice a little bit. I think that would help. Definitely practice.
Well, those strategies and those tips are so helpful because you make it seem very doable. right?
Yeah.
You're bringing it
Right.
down, and I think you're telling us that, look, this is something that anybody can do. We can even just
Yeah.
use the technology that's around us. I wonder if just as we, begin to wrap up here, I wonder if you want to just be sure to tell us a little bit about your new podcast, because that
Yes.
probably is you mentioned it, and recording
Right.
episodes on your phone, but that maybe is like a new adventure for you, right? In
And
applying all these
Right.
things.
23
Right.
episodes. How did you get to 23 episodes? This is incredible.
Oh, well, we've already had 55 scripts done, but it's in Chinese. Mine is English version, so my colleagues help with the Chinese version. So we have 2 versions, and then we upload it twice weekly. Imagine,
Wow.
twice. So for Monday, that's English version so definitely for people, English speakers, and then for Thursday, those are for advanced learners. They've been learning Chinese for years, right? And then they wanted to go further, because I always say that if you speak Chinese idioms, it's really like talking about the numbers in business pitch. So it's because it's condensed, right? And then that contains a lot of cultural, historical meanings. So one time we had this flashcard, and we only use one word for one flashcard. So it's true first tone, means come out. So and then we would have extensive learning, like come out, or I forgot, it's 出去 or 出差. Oh, 出差, go business. Go on a business, or 出游, okay, go on a trip. And then people love that. That one just organically reach out to more than like 133,000.
Wow.
I was like, wow, organically. We didn't pay anything to Facebook. And then that was forwarded for more than 300 times. People love that. And that
Wow.
actually helped us create a lot more visibility for not just Mandarin X, and people actually follow our another Instagram account, which is, I need to check back with my colleagues. That's Chinese something, Chinese idioms.
Wow.
But it's just something that, because if you can't compete with very money oriented companies, you really need to focus on your quality.
That's great.
And something that is just adorable, and people love it. So we love our podcast, and all of our students love it too. And then they actually thought that's a great like a great company for our courses, because it's all combined with the cultural meanings,
Yeah.
and then learning the characters. That's also one of learning one of the most difficult languages, Chinese.
That's great. Well, this has just been really so interesting to hear you talk, and clearly your emphasis on, you're in a crowded market, lots of people doing different things like this, but your emphasis on what your students need and the quality of the instruction, and applying the things that you've clearly developed over the years, both through your own experience and, the educational programs that you've been through. It really shows very clearly that you care about what you're doing, and that creating something of high quality content is really first for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm so impressed every time we get to talk about your authentic the way you are able to connect your authentic scholarly work as an educator, and with such a long history of language teaching, with your joy for the language and the culture. And I think that comes through to your students to help them be a meaningful version of themselves, and in whether it's English or Mandarin or any of the languages that you're helping them gain. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Yeah, and this is Rob. Speaking of authenticity, thank you, Estelle. It's been such a joy to speak with you today. Thank you for your inspiration.